seen it flexed around a little bit. Has been predominantly played in the support role, though. 27 plays in support and pro play, 9 so far as AD, though we did see it played earlier by Berserker, who went kind of that hybrid build, the Ravenous Hydra Rush into the Mandate, going a little bit of an atypical build, not just like a pure marksman DPS style build, very high on CDR and engaged. So that can work really well. It is going to be the Heimer as a response here. Is Varus just going to get grabbed up? It is. Varus very, very strong these days, the most played AD. And now we're going to find out if it in fact is going to be, AD or support potentially. They could also go towards soul lanes. Cassante, very, very popular these days. That is available. Jax as an answer is really, really highly prized as well. Armut, of course, not going to get his namesake, because that was that first ban. But we'll just jungle instead.
Man, I'm not gonna lie, I was hoping that Contractz would bring something with a little bit more individual firepower, but, gotta take one for the team. Okay.
So is the Ezreal actually coming out here from Luger? So a little bit less common, still obviously a very popular pick these days. And it's just going to be indexing heavily towards the poke. It is going to be, support Ashe, carry Ezreal, pretty much guaranteed here. They could have obviously gone with just a different support if they wanted to go a different angle, but bringing out the Ezreal for Luger will be pretty interesting. Not a pick I really highly associated with him from last year, but it was kind of one of those less popular picks in general.
Yeah.
But I do think, it might be difficult for them to actually get the push here. And if you're going to get shoved in by Heimer, by Varus, it can be difficult for Ezreal to really do anything except just kind of farm with Qs. And when you get on that back foot, it can be pretty difficult. It has lower wave clear than something like the Varus. So, might be giving up plates here to spawn in bio. And it is going to be the Vi grabbed up as the answer for Santorin. Lockdown for both the Ezreal and the Ashe is going to look really, really nice. And a lot of the high priority mids are also pretty low mobility these days. Syndra, the most picked. We've seen things like Azir. Viktor's a lot of popularity as well. All very susceptible to that Vi engage.
Right. CLG, how do you wrap up this composition? You have long-range poke, you have long-range engage, thanks to that Sejuani and Ashe arrow. But CLG, you still got solo lanes to clean up here. What do you want to lock down? Do you want more DPS on top of it? Do you want something more engage power? Do you want someone to stand in front of your Ezreal and Ashe backline?
I mean, I generally feel like when you're going Ezreal, people can play heavily towards it, but more commonly we see people play that as weak side and do something a little bit more focused on towards that top side. I think that also suits Dhokla's style and CLG's style. Put him on something like a carry, play more heavily towards him. The melee pairings we all know and love work so well with Sejuani. Can really get up there and attack with something like the Cassante or potentially the Jax, wherever he really does want to go. But, a couple bans thrown up towards top lane. Olaf, obviously we saw earlier, played by Licorice. The Renekton's going to be banned away. Last ban will be the Akali. So Akali, Sylas both taken off the table for mid. Dignitas could squeeze the champ pool here of Dhokla a little bit more if they want, but then they would be giving up counter picks. So we'll see exactly where they will go.
It'll be more telling where Dignitas want to play through, depending on who gets the counter pick of choice, Jensen or Armut. And it looks like Jax is going to be the blind pick of choice. CLG, now, what are your answers here?
I mean, if you want to go skill matchup, you could go towards something like Fiora. Fiora, I do think, is an aggressive answer here. This is kind of a feast or famine style pick. But if you can get the advantage through that side lane, and I do think Fiora plus Sejuani, really strong 2v2 combo. It's very easy to parry something like the engage from the Vi. GP, also a great answer. We saw that brought out. Impact playing that into Summit, looking really good in that matchup. This leads me to believe they want to play more towards bot side. GP ulti slows them down. Ashe arrow coming through when you're in that GP ulti field, slowed down, very difficult to dodge. Ezreal ulti over top, lots of AoE, lots of engage there. Diana would be a really interesting pick, not necessarily expecting it. Viktor makes a lot more sense, but it's a tremendous amount of AoE here. Very, very magic damage heavy, I would say, like overall, as far as those ultis, but it's going to be an interesting one.
It is daunting for CLG to have to walk through a bunch of Heimerdinger turrets set up, have to dodge through the chain of corruption, so just overloading on that AoE damage, that AoE team fighting ability seems to be the game plan for CLG. It's a far cry from what we saw in summer, which was just very much aggressive action in the early game, but because as you already mentioned with Contractz on Sejuani, maybe you can find those windows early on the top lane, get Dhokla snowballing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I honestly really, really like CLG's draft. I do think They have a lot of really kind of a low commitment style engage, right? You can throw out Ashe arrows, you can just poke and prod with the Ezreal, with the Viktor. You know, if someone goes in a little bit too far, you can throw out a Sejuani ult, but these are all things that you can do without really putting yourself at risk.
Yeah.
On the other side, really the only kind of consistent engage is that of the Vi, which is throwing your body in there, which can become very, very difficult. If Vi ults into the backline and all of a sudden there's a GP ult in between you and your target, it's difficult for your team to really be able to follow through on that and get through those GP barrels. So, you know, maybe going to be more reliant on playing through that sideline, getting an advantage here for Armut.
Right.
Of course, there is the...
Himself on his 100th game of the LCS as we get loaded up onto Summoner's Rift for the 4th time today of our first day of the spring split of LCS. Oh my god, we got a fan chance too? Let's go! CLG fans out in force today, defending the faith. Or should I say Kangas attacking the faith today? He didn't give me a response. That was your moment, Kangas.
It depends on if they're winning or losing.
Okay, we'll keep that in mind.
He said it depends on if they're winning or losing. All right. But early on, both teams heading down towards bot, you know, trying to get that side brush control down in bot lane. Very important, especially in these kind of like 4 ranged style bot lane matchups where there is a tremendous amount of poke. Hail of Blade's pretty standard here for Poome. We're seeing that almost exclusively on these support marksmen, which have been gaining so much popularity. I think Ashe is the premier one. I'm not as big of a fan of the Jhin and the Caitlyn and things like that. Like
definitely not the Azir support that we saw.
No, the Azir support was a swing and a miss for me. But you know, maybe I'll get disproven later on in the split. Maybe I'll be able to show up big time with that. It's worth noting that Luger is playing TP. Also first strike as he lands that first Q, getting a little bit of gold in. And you can see that they're immediately focusing down these turrets. They want to just try to take down these turrets immediately. Poome knocking those down, trying to get the push in their favor. So they're fighting very heavily for this level 2, trying to make sure that Heimer doesn't get that extra pushing power. And they're actually playing past the wave. So Dignitas has lost control of that wave. Going to be taking those volleys, taking these Qs. And when you get push in these poke versus poke matchups, it's so beneficial because then it's your opponents who are sitting under tower trying to last hit. And every time they step up for a last hit there, it's free fire.
And it almost defeats the purpose of what this Varus Heimerdinger lane wanted to accomplish. You have so much of this perceived wave clear pushing power, but that doesn't come online until you have all their abilities. Already, heal being blown by Palafox just from the pressure from Luger and Poome.
Yeah, that is rough. Some heavy trading back and forth here in mid lane. Jensen getting the better of that at the end of the day, but both of them are going to have potions running. We can see Santorin clearing up towards top side, you know, clearing up towards his Jax. He will be spotted by the hawkshot, very, very likely, as we can see that zooming across the top of the screen. But the poke just keeps on coming. Level 2 earlier here for Poome. We can see, yeah, Contractz is around mid. Could look for Jensen here if it gets a little bit too aggressive.
Has to wait on how he uses his E here. Flash. I don't think the Arctic Assault was going to land, Mr. Contractz, but you scared Jensen, and he didn't believe you either, so flash for flash.
Yeah, flash for flash, not bad at all. But it is going to mean he's losing his blue up on this top side. And because Armut had the push, that is pretty big. And Luger getting tagged by that piercing arrow, so down very low in health now. Now he's got to get this wave pushed in and actually look for a reset. And I love this invade here from Santorin. You know, not only does he take away the blue, but because Armut's missing, it's not like Contractz can even go over there and check. He knows that he would be in danger, you know, in that 2v1, so he's actually going to lose both camps. He'll have to see if he can do anything back and try to, you know, answer that on the other side, steal away some Raptors or something, but Santorin can just retreat up to the Jax. There's no way you can actually chase this, so it should be advantage going the way here of Dignitas, and even with smite advantage for Contractz, he can't actually contest for that scuttle, so he's really getting choked out of everything. This is great play from Armut because early on as Jax, you can't actually pressure the GP under tower anyway.
Yeah.
So there's not really anything to be gained there by just sitting at the turret.
Yeah. If you can't get a small advantage in the top side, why not give your jungler some love?
Yeah.
Contractz now. This is what I always do. It's like, you took the crab away from me, give me these chicken nuggets.
You gotta get something back. And he was able to do it, you know, was able to get a little bit. Now going to be trying to go and push for this red. We can see Luger use the early TP back towards bot. Not a great buy, but he, you know, did get that tier stacking up, and Santorin will be able to double scuttle down here on that bottom side. Can grab the respawn of his Gromp as well, and potentially threaten on this bottom side. But there is a pink ward, should be spotted out, and they don't really have much engaged, so not going to be too worried.
As soon as Santorin showed in vision, Luger immediately arcane flashes like, nope, do not want to be in range today. Santorin's just going to help get this push out. I imagine that Spawn and Biofrost want to look for some good recall here. But over on the top side of the map right now, map is pushed up for Dhokla. Is there a dive opportunity here?
I don't think so. Dhokla doesn't have the mana. I think it's really just trying to cover him to get the push in. Dhokla wants to crash. Oh my god, spawns so low there, barely survives. And that actually really sucks because not only does he spend his flash, but they're going to lose so much tempo off this as well. You know, they brought their jungler down to get the crash to try to even out the tempo that was gained by the teleport.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even happen, because that does get delayed. Mid lane, Palafox getting really low here. We'll see if Jensen can continue to poke and prod there, but up towards top, Contractz did get the cover on Dhokla's push. He gets that goodbye, has the sheen, but it is the Jax who, TPing in answer, and it's going to be basically dead even in that top lane as far as the inventory is concerned.
So far, when we go back to what we were looking at in terms of win conditions for Dignitas, yes, you have some pieces that come online later, but it was all really playing to getting that pushing power set up for bot lane. So far, without even Contractz helping, Luger and Poome have dealt with it in the 2v2, even the 2v3. It's going to be a problem for Dignitas later on come mid-game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Luger significantly ahead. Unfortunately, did miss that cannon. I hate to see it, but in a really good spot. I think they played out the 2v2 very intelligently, just kind of playing past the wave early on, focusing down those Heimer turrets so they can actually stack up and help them with that pushing power. And once you relinquish wave control in these kind of double ranged matchups, it's very difficult to really get it back because you're going to get harassed as you're walking back in. You no longer have those minions as coverage. As they snipe down another turret there. Poome stepping forward, does have a Hail of Blaze ready, so looking for a quick trade. Only able to get the one auto, but it's Santorin in trouble now.
Oh, he's stuck in.
Oh,
nicely done. It's out. Contractz just wanted to tango with Santorin in his own jungle. Retreats to the top side of the map. Contractz now has an angle, though. Maybe they want to push up this bottom lane, set up a dive onto Biofrost and spawn. There's no flash on the Varus.
Yeah, he does have cleanse, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. There's 4 members here. They have the wraparound. There's no TP to answer.
And you called it in the draft. Orbital cannon from Dhokla. First blood sets up Luger for success. A double kill over to Luger, setting up CLG bot lane to snowball.
CLG looking good early on here. They're cooking in 2023. Double kill onto the Ezreal, who is already way ahead. That's nearly double the farm and 2 kills for Luger. If you're Spawn, you're trying to go next fast.
Oh, he is almost double his gold at this point.
You hate to see it.
Not a good look.
No.
Quote Sven.
Not what you're looking for there. One miss time on the barrel, but Armut is zoom, and this wave won't fully crash if Dhokla doesn't want it to. So just kind of trimming the wave, just really nicely set up here. And you can see we have Viktor coming in from the side. Just everything being thrown down at the same time. The GP ulti slows him down. There's not really much you can do to actually outplay. The cleanse isn't going to do anything for you. Very well juggled, and both of those going over to this Ezreal is really, really good. I mean, he already has the Muramana stacking up. That is crazy fast.
Neither team has gone for dragons at this point, but as CLG, I feel a lot more confident if I was in their shoes to start setting up objective pieces. Rift Herald is also available for the taking. If you want to rotate over some of your stronger bot lane pieces at this point in the game, I mean, we talked about it before. The only long-range engage you have on Dignitas' side is Santorin, but if you're throwing yourself into a already ahead team, that's a losing fight.
It is, absolutely. But at the same time, if you're crushing in the 2v2 and you feel you can continue to extend that advantage, then they don't really need to take any risks because they have great scaling as well. So it's really just going to be up to them. Do you want to try to force conflict and push the game forward in that way? Or are you happy just farming? Because, I mean, you've got Viktor, Ezreal, and GP, plus a Sejuani jungle, like, all really heavily scaling picks here. You have Ashe to kind of continually track with that hawkshot on Santorin. That's going to make his job difficult. So if they can continue just chilling, farming, they may be happy to do just that.
Would you then say for Dignitas, the onus is more on them that their time is running out at this point? I
mean, I think it's too early to say running out, but definitely I think you're going to be the ones feeling the pressure, right? When you're looking over at some of the picks, they do have good scaling themselves, but Vi definitely wanting more of that early action, trying to find picks, and that's why it is Santorin starting this up. It is Jensen who's already moved from lane, trying to kind of guard in this area, cheat up towards topside. But now, looking for Dhokla, he's going to spot it out with the ward, and Armut is kind of too low, so they can't really fully push this in, and Contract's going to look.
Okay. No dice onto Armut. Contract's still going to dice with him, though. Santorin still has cease and desist. No act, man. I was ready to ramp up for the big crescendo of the skirmish there, and then it just, nothing happened.
Well, sometimes it happens, you know, someone's in his eyes, you know, misses Sejuani ult a little bit, but
Just get in there and fight, damn it.
they got the control, and they are going to be moving on to this Herald. So it was Santorin that started up first, but again, Dhokla really winning out in that 1v1 up on top side. It was Armut who was choked out, you know, he was chunked down, so Santorin says, all right, we no longer have pressure here, so instead I'm going to look for a gank. If I can kill Dhokla, then we can come back and take the Herald safely. When that doesn't really work, Armut's low, he's got a base, Contractz knows he can just move in and take that Herald, and it's going to be able to grab it easy peasy. Have that in the back pocket here to try to get more additional gold. That Hawkshot does not spot the Vi, but this lane ward likely will, as long as Dhokla is actually moving this up slowly. Yep, great lane ward there. He now can just waste time. Like, you can just pretend that you don't know. You just have to make sure you don't overcommit, because Vi does have that long range engage, of course.
You don't bait too hard that you bait yourself.
Yeah.
Gotta make sure that Dhokla knows his limits in this. But so far, this is already the...
Now he's gonna bait. Contractz is here.
Do it. Hook, line, and sinker.
Oh,
Ashe arrow! Glacial prison on top of it, the orbital cannon! Luger doesn't even need to have the damage, it's just CLG outplaying Dignitas!
Poome, are you kidding me? The cross-map Ashe arrow there, timed perfectly with the counter gank. As the Ashe arrow is coming down, we gotta see that again.
Yes.
Because as the Ashe arrow is coming down the lane, I spot it. Dokla's walking forward to bait the Vi directly into the path of it. That was cracked!
And this is just the mark. Oh, hold up. Jensen. Oh, Dhokla. A little too greedy. Everyone was getting too hyped. CLG fans, calm down, calm down. You need to
Someone
test the
started
faith.
believing. Someone started believing.
Like the KT effect all over again.
Yeah.
But this is already the mark of a team showing why they wanted to return as a 5-man squad. And you have that advantage. You get to hit the ground much harder than all the other teams that are trying to rebuild.
Absolutely, and then that's what they're looking for. Come out of the gates hot, you know, really kind of build on this momentum. Jensen getting a shutdown, and it's going to be kind of like, honestly, he's there, getting to be almost their only hope at this point in the game, which kind of sounds weird to say 12 minutes in, but everyone is very far behind. You know, when you're looking over at this Varus, you know, down 30 plus CS, plus the kills, plus 3 plates going their way, they still have Herald in pocket. GP's very far ahead in top lane. And Vi's not going to solo carry a game, so really it's got to be about Jensen, and that's why they're looking to attack him. Here comes Contractz, nails the ult.
There it is, and Jensen gets a flash out. Contractz flashes to interrupt the dash, and Palafox handles up with the damage on the back end.
Nicely done. Contractz, beautiful play there, flashing in forward to block the dash out from Jensen. Herald gets dropped. Palafox going to cash in on that one. Couple more autos. Excuse me.
There it is.
Shelly gets a little bit embarrassed, but does finish her work up in the mid lane.
It hasn't been the same for Shelly since the season rework.
It's a recession, you know, we're all struggling.
Oh no. We're not supposed to bring reality into this.
All right, well, we'll see it one more time. Ashe arrow from downtown here. This was from base. And the timing, I love how well the whole team is on the same page with that. They're all moving up. And the beautiful part is Dhokla moves forward right into the path of it, right? And that's what we didn't actually catch in this, but Dhokla steps forward right in line with where the Ashe ult is going, so guaranteed Poome is pinging exactly where he aimed it. You step forward, you get that Vi to Vault Breaker onto you, directly into the Ashe arrow, then comes in the Sejuani. The CC chain was perfect. That was a thing of beauty. Like, that is, you know, really, really good coordination to be seeing week 1 of the split.
The teamwork of a team that not only trained together during the off-season, went to a cat cafe in Korea as well.
That's where they built that synergy.
That's the important team building synergy right there. I'm telling you, you learn a lot about yourself and your teammates.
Yeah, you learn who doesn't like cats, you know? Who you can't trust.
And then you shun them.
Yeah.
Oh, Contractz. You thinking about doing something dirty here. Let's see. Dhokla baiting them in potentially one more time. Glacial Prison lands right on top, but Santorin has the lockdown. This time Jensen backs up the damage, and Dignitas find a little bright light. Swooping on in, capturing Contractz, the flash from Palafox to try and save this fight. A lot of damage from the Chaos Storm. Jensen on the run, doesn't have flash. They're still in tow, and they get revenge back.
Yeah, they're able to get one back, but still 2 for 1 for Dig off of a great roam from Jensen. Again, it's Dhokla and Contractz thinking they're baiting a 2v2 that they will definitely win, but they lose track of where Jensen is on the map, and he's being very, very active. He knows this is not a game he can win by sitting and farming in mid lane. He's got to be out on the map. He's the only one who's really very strong at this point as they're looking. Nice shift from Luger to dodge out on that from spawn. Makes him feel a little bit foolish.
Hey man, it happens. They were trying to force something while they had the opportunity, but I mean, that's why Luger wanted to go with this pick in the first place, because now that Poome is shifting all of his power on the other side of the map, Luger, he feels pretty damn fine to just be in a 1v2 by himself, and now Contractz might give him a little bit of relief in that pressure.
Yeah, he's chilling, farming down here. Ashe moved up towards mid. They were able to roam an answer. And now another arrow. This one will not connect. And it is going to be cleansed, so he could have cleansed out of that. We were talking about this earlier where we saw the similar matchup. Doubleth went heal in that, and he was very heavily punished. I do think when you're playing against Ashe Heimer, cleanse feels like almost a must.
Yeah.
It's very, very risky to not go for it. So Spawn paying that respect over. Does have the early Umu, so while he's still very far behind, at least he has, a cheaper kind of item path here with the lethality. You just keep buying longswords. No matter how bad your base is, you can usually buy another longsword.
You'll always feel just a hair stronger on every single recall. And for Dignitas, it's got to just be about, if you can get to objectives first, try to poke out CLG before they get set up to start fishing for those long-range engages. But with the way that the game has transgressed so far, 6,000 gold ahead, 7,000 now for CLG.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And it looks even worse when you're actually comparing where the gold is. And Biofrost now, he's got flash, but do you even want to use it? He's going to use it and will survive. So, does get out of there with his life. But yeah, I mean, you're comparing the ADs, 2K ahead in bot lane, nearly 2K ahead in top lane, even mid lane. I'm talking about Jensen's the hope of the team, and he is. He's still a good 1,300, 1,400 behind. So it's very, very difficult. Dig trying to get something back here. We'll see if they can smite it.
Oh, I called it! Dhokla stole the riptail right under Dignitas. The bad goes to worse as CLG continue on trucking.
Yeah, Santorin had no smite. That's the problem there.
Oh, no.
It's a little bit of the desperation play. They're going for it, but he had no smite available. They saw that play down towards bottom side. Contractz is down there, and they don't want to just bleed this game out because they've already lost all of their tier 1s here. They know they're monstrously behind, so they're trying to make proactive plays, but that one is just insult to injury here as, again, no smite available here. And it's Dhokla, the timing on the barrel, 675, 638.
Sheesh, man. Woo. What a clean steal from Dhokla. Oh, well.
You just had to say something nice, Raafaa.
This is the power of the caster.
You'll learn.
I'm so sorry, Dhokla.
He heard you. He knew you were about to say something nice. He's like, you know what? I've got no words. It's time to push.
Sometimes you're feeling yourself a little too much, and then Dignitas just give you that vibe check.
Smack you down. Back to reality here. But he is on 2 items. He's got the quick blades. He's got the Essence Reaver. So as much as Armut has gotten a couple kills, you're like, oh, maybe he's getting back into it. He's still a full item now. So that is feeling pretty rough. It is going to be, the stacking of these dragons very likely continuing here for CLG. They do have the Herald, and that is still quite a bit of time on it. So Contractz.
Oh, no way, it hit. Oh, it connects, and it's the glacial ensemble of ultimates from downtown that locks him down once again.
Oh my God, man, Poome is having a great game.
Hell yeah.
Poome has actually been on point. Going early lethality as well. This is my preferred build. When people just do, the kind of support item rush, it's like you just have so much less laning power. Because Hail of Blades with some early longswords, with some AD behind it, you're actually like a real carry here on one item.
You've got some firepower behind that bow and arrow.
I mean, your gold income obviously is going to slow down tremendously once you actually finish the support item. You're really depending on getting global objectives or kills or assists.
Right.
So you're going to be very slow towards that second item, but wouldn't be surprised to see him go towards his mandate as that second item. And they do collect another dragon for themselves. It's going to be Cloud Soul, so probably exactly what they were hoping for, but is still going to be pretty powerful.
Yeah, I mean, to quote a friend of mine, a soul is the soul. You'll still take whatever stats you can get.
20 bucks is 20 bucks.
That's right.
It's a little bit dirty, you're still going to pick it up off the ground.
It still comes out the same way. But for CLG, just looking at the general scope of what this team is expected to do, I know a lot of the community sentiment has been, despite so many teams, coming in and CLG is running back the same roster, a lot of them are putting them at 6th or 7th.
Yep.
Do you want to hear my hot take for the split?
Let's hear it.
I put CLG at 3rd, ending the split.
Okay.
Yeah, it's.
Wait, who's your top 2 then?
I had EG Fly.
You had EG Fly, so they're above TL.
Yeah, but
and they're above C9. Right?
Listen, I said it's a hot take for a reason. I'm probably...
They're like, I have this take. I'm not willing to defend it or explain it in any way.
I don't need to explain it, damn
this.
it. It's my first day. I'm still learning.
The heart wants what it wants, Raafaa. I get it.
But you know, if there's any type of like storybook kind of ending narrative, it would be the CLG one to rise above with the returning cast. And while this is not necessarily the strongest opponent that they're going to be facing in the split, this is a great way to start out.
Whoa, Dig catching strays?
Hey, you know, they don't have their full roster in yet.
True. All right, but CLG looking great so far, pushing in. They get the crash on the bot and hip tower. Palafox taking this mid tier 2. 7-4. The kills aren't that bad, but the gold lead is absolutely enormous. Jensen split pushing here, trying to get something back, trying to find some semblance of hope here. Will grab a bounty, which is gonna feel a little bit nice. It's always like that mixed feeling. You're like, hey, I got a little bit extra gold. Oh, I needed that extra gold.
Well, Dignitas, they are still holding on. The game is not over yet. We're about, 21-ish minutes into the game. Still 2 dragons away from Soul. Baron is still up for the taking for either team. And while Dignitas find themselves limited in options, if CLG do not actually close out this game, as you keep calling it before, Jensen still has the potential to carry this game.
Yeah, there's definitely a chance. It's going to be very, very difficult, though, especially when you are kind of that lone threat. There's just all the tools are going to be thrown at Jensen, right? In every single fight, he's going to have GP ult on his head. You're going to have to try to get out of that. Then you're trying to dodge Ezreal ult and Ashe ult and Sejuani ult and all of these things.
Just casual dodgeball, no big deal for Jensen.
It becomes very, very difficult, and they're also a little bit light on engage. So if he has to kind of throw his body into the back line, that can make it difficult as well. But Dignitas definitely hoping that they can slow down the pace of this game. Hopefully get that gold lead to stagnate a bit here. But CLG just looking to continue pushing, just poking away, making it difficult for Jensen here as they work down on what is one of the 2 remaining towers outside of the base here for Dig.
Slow and steady for CLG, this team that we have continued just lauding as the only team that is returning as a roster. But I really do have expectations for this. Most of the individuals, especially Contractz. I think this is a guy that, coming off the split, going from most improved rookie, this is someone that back in 2021, he was in the academy roster, was given a chance on EG to step in one day against TSM, had a monster Diana performance, had a really heartbreaking interview afterwards about how he has been waiting for this chance so long. This is someone that really needs to make his mark, not just in this game, obviously, but for the rest of the year.
Absolutely, and I think he's been doing a great job of that. When he first got back into the LCS, his spring split was a lot more rough. He was getting a lot of flash for that. In summer, he really stepped it up. Won that most improved award. Really, I think has had some great, honest interviews and talking about the struggles, talking about the difficulties that he's had. Because his career trajectory has been so unique, right? He came in on Cloud 9, everything seemed like it was going so well, and it kind of just like fell off the rails, so to speak, very, very quickly. But he's really worked hard to get back to where he is now. I do think Contractz at his best is one of the best junglers in the league. He's a very exciting, aggressive player. When he has that confidence, he's one to watch. So CLG looking to continue fostering that, looking to continue building upon the success that they built last year.
Great way to build confidence is to say, hey, you didn't lose your job. We want you back for another year.
True. You're not wrong.
And Dignitas just trying to fight for any semblance of vision control around the Baron, because this is where CLG are going to be looking to play next once the dragon's off.
And that's really all Dignitas is going to fight for. There's no shot that they fight at the 3rd dragon, right? They know that it's Baron ends the game from this sort of deficit basically 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Right? So if the Baron gets started, you've got to come out of your base. You've got to try to fight for that. But you are hoping that CLG is really gun shy and for some reason doesn't start up the Baron, and you can kind of just continue delaying and get your carries some items and maybe make something happen. You can see down towards bot lane, it's actually Jensen shadowing here. Both these soul laners are over here, and they're going to look for a kill.
Oh, but nice flash from Dhokla. Escapes Jensen's attempt to
they're
lock him
behind
down.
him now.
Contractz over the wall. Glacial Prison. Armut throws out the lamp. See if he can buy time. They take one out on Dhokla, but will that save them from going down? Jensen cannot escape. Another double for Luger.
Great response there from CLG. I like the attempt from Dignitas. Both soul laners overload one side, look for a pick. That's the only way you're going to win when you're this far behind. But it is a very fast response. Yes, Dhokla does end up going down. but they get 2 kills. They're gonna grab the dragon here, move themselves to Soul Point. An over 10,000 gold lead here at this point for CLG. They are cruising, and it would take a miracle to stop them.
Such a dominant first day impression from CLG. What was also a nice dominant impression was their content that they've been putting out so far this week. Did you see them with the hoods? Actually, we can touch on it after this replay.
I did, but here it is one more time. Oh, he actually spotted me. Did he spot Armut walking in? It made it look like that. I'm not sure if that was a spectator thing or not. There was
it just
no
goes
pings.
to show that Dhokla has no fear, man.
Yeah, he does it. He sees it, fight it, he likes it. But Contractz over the wall, gonna be able to actually land this on Armut. They do turn here onto Dhokla, who's overchasing a little bit here, a little bit too aggressively. Could have waited for the team. He had already used his W, so gets stunned up. Does end up going down, but it really does not matter. Everyone from CLG surrounding him. And again, it's just about reestablishing their vision control here. They're going to walk in with Poome, walk in with Contractz, try to clear out these wards, and really make Dignitas get spooked, right? Try to force them into walking a little bit too far forward where they can get caught by a Sejuani ult, caught by an Ashe ult. Because CLG doesn't really want to flip a Baron. Like, if they have to, maybe they would later. But,
yeah.
They're hoping to just get a free pick and a guaranteed Baron and close out the game.
It would not be boggers if CLG just threw this 10k gold lead by not taking all the right steps necessary to take this Baron. But, CLG, even if it's a slow and steady approach, it's one guaranteed to net potentially their first win of the LCS spring split.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to be wanting to close this one out. And it's always funny when you watch games like this and you're like, oh, it's really slowing down. And you realize it's only 26 minutes in, right? It just feels that way because they're stopping them.
Yeah.
They are starting off really, really hot here. More items coming in. It's 3 items now for Luger. The death cap is done for Palafox, so he is well and truly online. Level 16 with the death cap. That is where it's one-shot time. For the Viktor, it's like full combo, you're dead, right? So you got to be incredibly careful as these squishy carries over on the other side spawn. Jensen, if they get full combo, they're guaranteed gone. Same thing here with Biofrost. So we'll see what they can get done. Just trying to dig for scraps, trying to find a way to control some vision here, but just Poome walking forward constantly with his teammates, and they're just poking away.
It's a pleasant surprise for Academy fans to see Luger and Poome playing so well on their first day. We were back in 2021 for 100 Thieves. These guys were really tearing up the competition, and so when they finally got their big call-up for CLG in 2022 during their big rebrand, a lot of expectations. Didn't always hit the mark, but so far this is a strong start as CLG are just making sure that they cannot lose the Baron at all. Very clean take from CLG.
Yeah, really nicely done. They saw Armut was committing to split pushing bot, right? So the only thing that Dignitas can do is try to flip it for a steal, but they don't even give them the chance. They're throwing the Sejuani ult over, they're throwing out the Ashe ult, they're throwing down the GP ult. There's just not any way that Santorin can walk through the Ezreal to try to get in range and actually take that down. So really nicely done. Great sidestep as well from Poome, and the laser connects over the wall, so a good chunk onto spawn. This tower is going to be going down here pretty quick. Contract's going to tank it up so Luger can continue to auto, and they will be able to finish this on this next wave. Santorin likely going to look for a big wraparound potentially. See if they can find some sort of...
why not?
Maybe on Dhokla, who is still a relatively squishy build, and he is behind him now, and they have Jensen in that side brush, but I think CLG has a read on this.
I'm not sure if Santorin was spotted even by that, well, now he's spotted by the blue orb. No longer has that flank angle potentially. I mean, I respect it. 10,000 gold down, you gotta try something. You gotta just throw something against the wall and see if something happens. But Dignitas starting to run out of options. Poome fishing for an arrow, doesn't connect, but that's okay. The pressure was felt as already the siege lays waste to the towers of Dignitas. Jensen forced to retreat. Inhibitor tower will bite it, and damn, that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, they just can't even walk forward to wave clear. It's so difficult with all the poke that CLG has. I think that's just such a strong draft for them here, and they're pushing it now. First inhib down, they're just going straight for the Nexus towers. They know that Dignitas doesn't really have anything. Jax is still not even basing. They're trying to hope to hold on here. It's Santorin looking for a flank, but he is spotted.
Yeah, Poome. Great hawkshot use, already scouting out Santorin, keeping tabs on where he was. But Dignitas recognized that there's no way that they can fight a front-to-back angle against CLG, so they're just trying to trade turrets at this point. A teleport is coming in now just to make sure that Armut doesn't get any more tower damage.
Yeah, so Armut able to grab quite a few towers there, get some gold back for himself. Contractz is behind them. This is going to be a tough one. And now they're TPing in. He is surrounded. You got to turn and fight. Try to find something.
Yeah, Armut, you have a flash, but I don't know how creative you can be with it. Just start bonking Luger's head. The flash, but Luger predicts it as well with his own arcane shift. Armut is in a world of trouble, and CLG run him down once again.
Yeah, Dignitas going to be over on this dragon. Going to potentially deny Soul, but Poome can just stop bases, and they can just push top and maybe just end the game, or at the very least triple inhib. All he's got to do is harass with volleys. It's going to be the engage here from Santorin.
Now, Poome, you can do it. Support on jungle combat. Fight like your life depends on it. Just stall time as the rest of the base of Dignitas is starting to crumble because everyone from CLG is looking to end the game. Poome hasn't even died yet. He fought valiantly to the bitter end just so that CLG could pick up their first win of the spring split of LCS.
Man, what a performance from CLG. Yes, they were really looking good today. Made it look so easy against Dignitas there. Gotta give a lot of credit, both to the draft, but also to the execution. I think the draft was really, really smart. To me, so much of it was about how Poome and Luger were able to play around that 2v2, getting the advantage in the 2v2.
Yeah.
We saw so many Ashe arrows connecting from that incredible bait up towards top side to engages down towards bottom. You know, they utilized the pressure that they gained to move around the map very, very well. You know, Contractz goes towards mid, they get pressure there. Then him and Palafox move down towards bot to pull off that dive.
Yeah.
They extend that advantage just everywhere and really snowballed this game well.
Yeah, Poome and Luger really had a standout game. What could have just been a very much back and forth. Yeah, we're